Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll check out the jet stream across North America. We've talked about this big trough dropping through the prairie down into the central Rockies of the U.S., bringing a whole lot of cold air. It made its way through the Canadian Prairie over the last 24 to 48 hours. It's now settled across the central Rockies, where we're seeing our first winter storm of the year in parts of Colorado, the Denver area, dropping from 95 degrees Fahrenheit down to a winter storm here over about 24 to 36 hours of time. And a lot of record lows set across parts of the Canadian Prairie yesterday morning. Now, as we look at the satellite picture here, kind of a mixed bag here. Some folks going to wake up to some sunshine. Others will see some cloudiness. It looks like southern Alberta into southwestern Saskatchewan, the best spot for some sunshine this morning. A little bit cloudier as you head east into portions of Manitoba. Now, we're quiet as far as the radar goes. No precipitation falling across the prairie here early this morning. We'll see some rainfall chances across northern portions of the prairie here, but generally looking at a dry next 5 to 7 days across the ag belt. Now, talking about temperatures, we're looking at a snapshot here. Temperatures yesterday morning, right around sunrise, and as I was kind of looking through overnight lows, I did see a lot of records set here. A lot of folks dropping below freezing. We did see a freeze in a lot of areas here across the prairie. Negative 8.8 was the lowest temperature I could find there in Coronach. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. The internet told me Coronach, but I'm thinking it's Coronach. But let me know in the comments or shoot me an email, andrew.pritchard@nutrien.com. I'm always wanting to learn more and make sure that I'm actually pronouncing these towns right. But negative 8.8 degrees Celsius, the lowest that I found here over the last 24 hours. That was yesterday morning. And generally where you see that pinker shading, this is the hot spot for where we had a lot of those sub-zero temperatures yesterday morning. Warming up quite nicely this morning. Well, I shouldn't say warm, but compared to yesterday, we are rebounding nicely. We're seeing a ridge in the jet stream here allow for some warmth to build into Western Canada. You can see it here. We've kind of got this trough broken into a couple of pieces. We've got the jet stream flow coming up and over the top of the ridge here, diving down where the polar jet's going to regroup here and kind of keep itself going, whereas this little cutoff low is breaking itself off, doing its own thing. It's going to spin away here for several days across the central Rockies. But as I take the drawings off, we'll talk about where we're headed. We're going to be watching this upper level low across Nunavut up here. That's going to be kind of sagging down toward the south, and as it does that, it's going to bring a couple of short waves around the base of it. So I'll show you what happens here. Let's go ahead and jump back to today, present day, taking it into the next 24 to 48 hours or so. Again, we're watching this low off to the north. It's going to kind of sink down to the south just a bit, such that by the time we get to the end of the week, we're going to have quick flow coming around the base of that. We're going to have it coming up and over the top of this little ridge here in the Gulf of Alaska. And then we're going to have very fast jet stream flow coming around the base of this broader trough off to our north and coming over the top of that ridge across the Pacific. And that's going to bring a few rainfall chances. And as each of these little systems move through, we're going to see a little bit of a roller coaster ride with our temperatures here. Not quite as dramatic as we've seen over the last 7 to 14 days, but still going to be a little bit unsettled in our temperatures here across the prairie. But of course, that's typical for this time of year as we start transitioning seasons. We're looking at the 7-day precipitation forecast in terms of an anomaly. And again, much of the ag belt going to be on the drier side here as we head through the next 7 days. We have a couple chances for some streaks of precipitation here across generally northern portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba over the next week or so, but certainly possible we could get some heavier rainfall across maybe the Calgary area, just north of there, up toward Edmonton, back toward Grand Prairie, back toward Peace River over the next week or so. And we'll talk about when that's going to be here on this animation here. We'll look at the precipitation forecast from the European model. Again, quiet today. We'll be quiet for the next 24 hours or so until here's our low across off to the north across Nunavut with the front dragged back behind it. And that's going to help a little bit of cooler air settle into the region. That's also going to bring that rainfall chance back to the area. So as we get into Friday, looking for rainfall chances across the northern half of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. And then it's as we get into Friday night, late Friday night into Saturday morning, we'll see that better chance for some rainfall here across central portions of Alberta, getting into central Saskatchewan, closer to Highway 16 here. And again, this is during the day on Saturday primarily. This could continue lightly into the day on Sunday before high pressure starts to move in. That's going to take the precipitation again and lift it back north of Highway 16, north of the primary ag belt. So central portions of Alberta, central portions of Saskatchewan, chance for some rainfall here, generally late Friday into Saturday, and then maybe early Sunday. Otherwise, looking at a pretty dry next 5 days across the prairie. Here are your 7-day precipitation totals in millimeters. And again, if you want to find that, excess of 25 millimeter precipitation opportunity, you're headed towards central Saskatchewan with that Saturday rainfall. What you see here is just light rain continuing here late Saturday into potentially Sunday, early Sunday along the Highway 16 corridor through Saskatchewan into maybe southwestern, west central portions of Manitoba. But if you head south of Highway 16, looking pretty dry, if not completely dry, over the next 7 days. Our temperatures, again, we've seen the coldest air mass sink off to the south as ridging starts to push back into the area. We've got warmth expanding across British Columbia into Alberta today. I'll show you the temperature forecast here as we head through the next week. Again, warmth does reach back across the prairie until we see it. Remember that low off to our north. We're going to drag a front slowly from north to south across the prairie, bringing cooler air back in as we head into the weekend. We'll then see ridging return, warmth across at least southern portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba as we head into the early part of next week, with potential for some more cold air to come on the backside there. So it's about every 3 to 5 days we get a little ridging, a little warmth into the area, and then another wave of cold air comes in on the backside. But as you look out there right now, not seeing, at least over the next week, any extreme warmth across the prairie, and also not looking at another shot of sub-freezing temperatures across the prairie over the next 7 days at least. Here's a look at your next 7 to 10 days here in Calgary. And again, you can see it, just little adjustments downward. Nothing too extreme. Overnight lows still above 5 degrees, between 5 to 10, and then your highs 24 to 26 over the next few days as we get into the weekend, between 19 to 21, and then dropping down to highs in the teens potentially next week. Edmonton looking very similar here. Saskatoon warming back up to a high of 27 on Friday, a very warm end to the work week, down into the upper teens as we head through the weekend. Regina, again, look, the little temperature roller coasters again, 20 today, 27 on Friday, 19 Saturday and Sunday, 25 for the high on Monday. And then finally Winnipeg, you're a little bit warmer over here on the east, 16 for the high today, a little bit cooler still, but then up to the lower 20s to finish out the work week. 17 for the high on Sunday, back to 21 and 22 on Monday and Tuesday.